Okay, so today topic which is pretty related with what we have seen last time, and so because the distribution of preferences within a society are here very relevant, and the question of today is how many parties can we expect given particular distribution of preferences about policy within a society. As you can see here, we have three potential distribution of preferences within a society, which are, I will say, pretty comprehensive of what we usually say, and we can immediately start looking at this. So the working question is, when can we expect more than two parties to arise? In which situations? So starting from the first instance, we are here. So again, the distribution of preferences here is normal. So we have that the majority of preferences are clustered around the center, around the median and the center, and also here we have the mode. And in this situation, what we can expect is just two parties. We can expect just two parties which have an incentive to converge to the center. So why not three part? Of course, they have an incentive to converge because, as I was saying before, here is where the majority of votes is clustered. Why not three parties? Okay, so let's think. Let's take let's suppose that a third party wants to form, and this third party is here. Okay, is a party on the right. So this party cannot win, unfortunately, because we are supposing that the general party on the right, locates itself close to the center, because here is again where the majority of votes lies. And another party, let's call it C, locates at the extreme of the tail of the distribution. So it's more extreme than the party in general on the right. And here, you have not so many votes as here, and therefore this party is gonna lose. So there is not an incentive to be created at all. So uh, if parties are created that do not converge, if a party wants to create, wants to be formed, and the strategy is not to converge to the median, it will always lose. And the second reason, because here you do not have many votes, and you can only appeal to this platform if you are formed, if you locate yourself here, because these amount of votes are taken by the party on the right, which converges to the median, and these are taken by the party on the left. The other reason why here it is not smarter, in this case of distribution, it is not smart for a party to be formed, is because let's think that, I mean, here is the right platform, and let's think we are starting from 100% of votes. So all the votes here, overall, they are 100. Okay, so here we just suppose that, given that C locates itself on the same part of the political spectrum as R, they are they agree on a lot of things. But here, and so the problem is that these two parties on the right are splitting the votes among themselves, and as a result, for example, you can think that C will take 25% of the overall votes, R will take the 25% of the overall votes, and L, the party on the left, will take the other 50%. And so who is gonna win? L will be the party in government. So it's not smart for them, for party C to vote, because the worst possible outcomes for both of them is that L wins. So C has not an incentive to be formed, unfortunately. In a situation like this, instead, we have that just two parties again will be formed, because here you do not have parties, and you do not have votes, many votes, and so every party which is formed and locates itself at the center will just not vote, will just not win. Right here, you don't have many parties and votes, and all these votes are already captured by L. And if C or R, and if C has the only possible thing that can happen in a situation like this is that C wants to go to shift more on the left or more on the right to gain more votes. But again, in this case, you can here they will split the votes among themselves. R will win, for example, and or they may just form a coalition. But I mean, a coalition, it's that will basically resemble just party L, because again here is where the majority of votes lies. If we are in a polymodal situation, we can expect a number of parties to be formed as is the number of ideological preferences in a society. So here we may think of a society which has 4 different strong ideologies, and the number of parties we can expect to arise is just the reflection of those ideologies. Okay, so if there are 4 ideologies, 4 parties will arise, because these are strong preferences for one of the 4 ideologies. And so a party that just reflects each party for each ideologies. So the idea is that in all these distributions, the idea is that the number of parties that arises is the same, is just a reflection of how preferences are distributed within a society. Okay, so the model was so easy before, so now we are trying to complicate things, and we had some dynamicity in our model. So we just suppose that we have in our society a very big social revolution and economic revolution, such as the Industrial Revolution, or we can suppose that there has been a war. Too contemporary, and or the franchise has been enlarged. For example, now black people can vote or women can vote. Okay, we now can expect parties to exploit the political and social revolutions or the war or the new franchise if those parties think that the wars, the new franchise, or the social or the revolutions are changing the distribution of preferences of voters within a society. So the idea is that if a party thinks, okay, now women can vote, and women usually are more moderate, a party can say, okay, I will create a more centrist party, and this party will basically gather the preferences, will be voted by men which are more centered, the fraction of men which is more centrist, and now all the women. So the idea is that they can exploit, parties may want to be created to exploit the new distribution of preferences within the society. So the idea is that let's think that before women could vote, we had this kind of distribution of preferences in a society. So basically, it's a bimodal with a very small center. So in the center, we had just few men who are more centrist than the others that usually that in this case cluster uh, around the extremes. Now the new franchise is introduced, so the dynamicity party is the new franchise, and women can vote. And the new party says, "Oh, it's time. It's time to create a new party, because if I create a new party which is positioned in the center, this new party will benefit from the new franchise, so from all women or a majority of women, and from the men who were centrist also before, right? And so this party will become the majoritarian party, while the two parties at the extreme are just now minoritarian parties. With the new franchise, the majority of votes become clustered around the middle, so around the center in this case. And so the idea is that it is smart for it is a smart move for a party to create when they think that a new distribution of preferences is being realized within a society. This is a case in which the new party, so party C in this case, is formed in order to win the elections. Now we have a second instance, that is when a party is formed just to threat another party. The idea is this one. So let's suppose we are in a society which is pretty lefty, okay? And so the distribution of preferences is skewed more to the left. It's skewed more to the left. Party B, in this case, may think, if I'm here and while the majority of votes is clustered around here, it's a smart move for me. So I have an incentive to move more to the left, okay, and to, for example, position myself here. So to adopt more leftist policies, because if I position myself here, I can still take all the votes here, so also the extreme votes, and now also I can be voted by a lot of people, all these people that are very more dense on the left. So it's a smart move for me to move to the left. But here we have problems, because it's not guaranteed that the supporters on the extreme right still wants to support B. And the idea is that if those supporters are strong enough and have a strong incentives, they will form here another party. In this case, party C. Again, not party centrist, but party C. And the reason why they form this party is because by forming a new party, they will threaten B to lose the elections, because here now B has to compete both with A, but also with C. C will take all these amounts of votes, C will take all the extremist platform, and now B can just take the votes of the less extremist and the less lefty. Okay, so B will just take sort of like these amounts of votes, and even if C is still a minority party and cannot beat B, A will beat all both B and C, because here are still the majority, are clusters still the majority of the votes, right? And the idea here is that C is formed because given that it will threaten B to lose the election, the incentives of C to be formed is to say to party B, you need to move back to the right. You need to go back, right? You need to adopt the preferences that you had here. And the idea is that B felt threatened, will move back to its original position, B0 here. So C, in this instance, in this case, C is formed just to threat the closest, its closest party. C is never gonna win, because here there are not so many preferences and so many votes. So it's formed just to threat. C will always be a minoritarian party, but B will become a minoritarian party as well if C is formed, and therefore B has, if B still wants to compete at the elections and still wants to be a possibility, an alternative from A, B has to move back. So these are, again, I hope this was clear. It was pretty simple, so if you couldn't understand it, it's just me that I made it more difficult that it really is. And so we'll see in the next video.